Oh, that's it. I've had it with this dump. We got no food. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Okay, just calm down.
Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot is the talk of the comic book industry. X-Men business picks up even more in February with the arrival of the second wave of Dawn of X titles. Jonathan Hickman's giant-sized X-Men, Ben Percy's Wolverine, and Chip Zdarsky's X-Men Fantastic Four all arrive. Thus far, Dawn of X is a bit of a hit or miss, or at least it is from my perspective, but I'm beyond excited for all three of these new X-Men titles. Hickman may be the biggest name in X-Men right now, but Percy's Wolverine is the most anticipated Wave 2 series. Marvel Comics are taking advantage, as they often do. Wolverine #1 is 72 pages and runs $8. My personal rule of thumb is, I don't pay a premium for comics unless it feels special or important. After reading X-Force #1, Ben Percy's Wolverine series feels kind of important. But Marvel fleecing me every time they release a new series featuring a character I care about is getting excessively old. How many times can Marvel expect to extract their pound of flesh? Enough is enough already. But there is good news. The solicitation promises the return of supervillain Omega Red. So far, Marvel are advertising 12 covers from artists like Alex Ross, Jim Lee, and R.B. Silva. The number is bound to grow as we get closer to February. When Marvel announced the X-Men Fantastic Four miniseries, I was immediately excited. Zdarsky's Marvel 2-in-1 should have earned him the writing gig on the Fantastic Four relaunch. But he moved on to Daredevil, and I've been waiting for his return to the first family of Marvel ever since. Now he's doing it with X-Men. Double sold. Solicitation information indicates Franklin Richards will finally arrive on Krakoa before Doom arrives in issue 2, which also releases in February. Giant-sized X-Men should be called slightly larger than normal X-Men. When Marvel announced this series, I assumed it was 72 pages minimum. Giant-sized X-Men Jean Grey and Emma Frost #1 is only 40 pages. The same amount Marvel launches a lot of #1s these days. Now, I'm still on board Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot, but between Marauders and Excalibur #2, the price on Wolverine #1, and the page count of giant-sized X-Men, chinks in the armor are starting to emerge. Another thing I absolutely hate about what Marvel are doing with Dawn of X are the trades. They're releasing them as collections of each issue number rather than series. Do the first issues of X-Men, Marauders, Excalibur, New Mutants, X-Force, and Fallen Angels really tell one cohesive story? Absolutely not. When CB and the Legion of Doofuses have a bad idea, they really go all out with it. Needless to say, I'll be avoiding the Dawn of X trades like the plague. Honestly, this all has me rethinking buying the House of X Powers of 10 hardback collections. This might not be the X-Men reboot we all thought we were getting. Marvel Comics are releasing 16 #1 comics in February, which is a bit abnormal. They usually have 20 or more each month. The big one, besides the X-Men titles, is Falcon and Winter Soldier. This is rolling out to help promote the show of the same name on Disney+. I'm a bit surprised they didn't put a bigger name writer than Derek Landy on the series. Maybe they think the association with the MCU is enough to bring in an audience. The latest Ant-Man series also debuts. In fact, Zeb Wells' Ant-Man is shipping 2 issues in February. I'm not much of a fan of the writer, but artist Dylan Burnett is pretty good, especially by Marvel standards. Ant-Man features the adventures of Scott Lang and his daughter Stinger. One of my favorite creators, Christos Gage, writes the new Gwen Stacy mini. The series tells the never-before-told origin story of Peter Parker's first love. Collectors who buy the A cover of all 16 Marvel new #1s are on the hook for $77. Per normal, Marvel solicitations are action-packed with variant and party variant covers. 21 comics feature Gwen Stacy variants from the likes of J. Scott Campbell, Dale Keown, Humberto Ramos, Phil Noto, and Pepe Larraz. All 21 Gwen Stacy variants cost $84, if it's the regular cover price. Marvel released 15 new comics starring their premier character, Spider-Man, and his assortment of supporting characters and villains. Underutilized Spidey villain Chance opens a supervillain casino in ASM 39 and 40. In all honesty, not a lot exciting going on in most Spider-Man titles, But Greg Land's cover on Peter David Symbiote Spider-Man Alien Reality number 3 looks phenomenal. Marvel's resident webhead looks to be involved with the Sorcerer Supreme. Amazing Mary Jane number 5 sounds like it wraps up the first story arc. When Leah Williams announced this series, she indicated it would be a mini, but there's no indication that this is actually the series finale. Time will tell, I guess. Fans who buy all 15 Spidey-related comics spend $61. Earth's Mightiest Heroes star in 11 new comics. Jason Aaron's Avengers 31 is a special 40-page issue featuring Tony Stark in dire straits. The Solicits promises a dark tale of hell and ice and iron unlike any Golden Avengers story you've ever read. Chris Claremont co-writes Savage Avengers 0, a 64-page story for $5. Doctor Strange and Magic reunite on Krakoa to face off with Kulan Gath. Donny Cates' third issue of Thor features the return of Beta Ray Bill. It's Mjolnir versus Stormbreaker as the old allies face off. That sounds like a can't-miss comic to me. Captain America readers finally learned the identity of the mysterious Dyrad in February. Now, I'm not a Captain Marvel reader, but if I was unaware how poor the character's comics have been over the years, I would buy February's issue for the Mark Brooks cover alone. What I wouldn't give for him to illustrate a Predator comic. That cover is gorgeous. All 11 comics featuring the Avengers run $46. X-Men readers have plenty of stories to read with 11 new comics. Noticeably absent is Fallen Angels, as the series goes on hiatus while writer Brian Hill works on a project in Hollywood. X-Men number 7 promises to explore the ramifications of mutant resurrection, and from the looks of the cover, Apocalypse is going to have something to say about it. X-Force 7 and 8 center on Domino, and if you read issue 1, you know things haven't exactly been going her way. Colossus also starts healing and may be ready to join the fight. New Mutants continues with 2 writers as Jonathan Hickman writes issue 7 and Ed Brisson scribes issue 8. Stefano Casilli illustrates both February issues of Marauders. Matteo Lalli's been doing a good job so far, but Caselli is a step up in visual talent, in my opinion. Dawn of X fans will drop $50 for all 11 X-Men comics. Star Wars readers only have 3 new comics in February, but Charles Soule's Star Wars number 3 sounds amazing. Luke Skywalker's only hope of becoming a Jedi Knight was lost during his battle with Darth Vader, and so he, Princess Leia, and Lando Calrissian must return to Cloud City to find it. Yes, please. Greg Pak's new Darth Vader series debuts and appears to take place in the same time frame as Soule's Star Wars. Hopefully they're planning a crossover story in the future. All 3 Star Wars comics cost $13. The only February event is Iron Man 2020, which releases 3 new comics. Iron Man 2020 number 2 from Dan Slott and Christos Gage, 2020 Machine Man number 1 from Gage and Tom DeFalco, and 2020 Forceworks number 1 from Matthew Rosenberg. I couldn't be less interested in this event personally. Those looking to invest in the Iron Man 2020 event will spend $15. Marvel are releasing Marvel Tales Wolverine in conjunction with the new Wolverine series. The 80-page, $8 anthology collects stories from Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, John Byrne, and Fabian Nicieza. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. The stories included are Uncanny X-Men 162, X-Men number 4, and X-Men 25. Podcast series Marvel Voices becomes a one-shot anthology featuring Vita Ayala, Method Man, and David F. Walker. Alex Ross and Jim Krueger's Earth X prequel Marvel's X also releases issue 2 for $5. Marvel Comics are releasing 2 facsimile editions to celebrate Logan's Return solo series. Chris Claremont and Frank Miller's Wolverine number 1 is an absolute insta-buy from my perspective. The miniseries depicting Wolverine's adventures in Japan is paramount to the character's lore. Marvel also releases a facsimile edition of Wolverine number 1 from Claremont and Steve Buscema. Logan battles Indonesian pirates in the debut of his first ever ongoing solo series. It's Iron Man 2020 month for true believers. They are releasing $1 reprints for 5 classic comics. I'm personally only planning on buying the reprint of Wolverine number 7 featuring Albert and LCD. My pal Doc loves these characters, so I'm going to pick that up for sure. All 7 vintage reprints cost $13. So far, I'm pulling Wolverine number 1, X-Men Fantastic Four 1 and 2, giant size X-Men 1, X-Men 7, X-Force 7 and 8, Thor 3, Star Wars 3, and Darth Vader #1 along with the vintage reprints. Add to that list Donny Cates' Venom 23, which is planting the seeds for the next Venom event after Absolute Carnage forgot to end the story. Jerry Duggan and Ron Garney reunite for Fantastic Four Grim Noir. Very excited to finally read some new stories featuring the first family of comics. Fans of the Ghost Rider Wolverine Punisher crossover Hearts of Darkness get a treat in February. Ed Brisson's Ghost Rider #5 is titled Hearts of Darkness #2 and features a mystery character on the cover and a variant cover from Ron Garney. I really enjoyed Garth Ennis' return to Punisher, so Punisher Soviet #4 is a no-brainer for me. My entire February Marvel pull cost me $72. X-Men be killing me these days. Before I wrap this up, there are 3 graphic novels I want to mention. Ditko is Strange King-Size Hardback is a 328-page celebration featuring one of the Legend's greatest creations, Doctor Strange. Not only does it showcase the Sorcerer Supreme front and center, it also features work from legendary creators Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, and Denny O'Neil. The $100 price tag likely means this is destined for diehard fans of Ditko and Strange. Wolverine Inner Fury is the 6th volume in the Wolverine Epic Collection. Industry legends Larry Hama, Peter David, Bobby Nicieza, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Andy Kubert all contribute to the 464-page $40 collection. Finally, X-Men Milestone's Messiah Complex is one of the best X-Men stories from the 2000 era. Ed Brubaker, Peter David, Mark Silvestri, Humberto Ramos, and more lend their talents to this fantastic story. Cover price is $35. That just about does it for Marvel's February solicitations. While I'm still firmly on board Jonathan Hickman's X-Men reboot, we're starting to see some cracks in the facade. Double shipping so many issues to finish off 2019 has led to some delayed releases and Fallen Angels going on hiatus. Wolverine's $8 cover price feels a bit much, especially considering how expensive collecting X-Men has become since House of X and Powers of 10 launch. Using the giant-sized name, but delivering anything but a giant-sized comic is also off-putting from my perspective. Hopefully Marvel tighten things up moving forward, but I do believe they're going to start alienating some readers with their release schedule, pricing, and stunt marketing. But Marvel has a great lineup of comics scheduled for release in February, and X-Men are a huge part of that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you all soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.